Hello, everyone. I'm Dorothy McCabe. I'm a government relations professional and a part-time Conestoga College instructor. And personally, I'm a mom, a partner, an active and maybe somewhat overcommitted community volunteer. And of course, I'm also a proud Leadership Waterloo Region graduate from the year 2003. I'm really pleased to have been invited by Diane and Bethan to participate in Leadership Waterloo Region's Turn the Page and to share a book on leadership that really resonated with me. So that book is Radical Candor: Be a Kick-Ass Boss Without Losing Your Humanity. And it's by author Kim Scott. So more on Radical Candor in a minute. But first, I want to thank Leadership Waterloo Region for launching this new way to help graduates and those currently in the program, and for people looking to learn about leadership. It's a great opportunity to connect, to build our book collections, and of course, to amplify our learning. And of course, with this ongoing pandemic, I know that, like so many others, we're looking for safe and interesting ways to stay connected, and certainly ways to learn something new. And I don't know about you, but there's only so much Netflix I can watch, and there's only so much time my children want to spend with me. So Turn the Page was a really great combination of reading and learning, which are two of my passions. So I also love that Turn the Page is supporting Waterloo Region participants and graduates. And I love that it's supporting our local amazing bookstore, Wordsworth Books. Like seriously, in my opinion, not only are Wordsworth Books staff the best in the business, you can literally ask them anything about books, but they also have the very best name I've ever heard for a bookstore too, right? Wordsworth Books. Anyway, back to Radical Candor: Be a Kick-Ass Boss Without Losing Your Humanity. So I was looking for a book that focused on how to be a leader, boss, manager who can direct and be clear with colleagues, with volunteers, and with those around them, while also being kind and without an ego, not create resentment, while remaining true to my values and my humanity. And I also wanted a book written by a woman. So hence Radical Candor by Kim Scott. And I had a number of aha moments throughout this book, and I hope you will too if you read it. So a couple of things, I have actually picked 5 that stood out for me. The first one is, there are 2 dimensions to providing good direction. The first one is to care personally about your staff or your volunteers, and really to demonstrate that you care. The second part of that is to challenge directly. And the reminder for me was that good praise should challenge people directly. So the second thing that really resonated for me was the notion that clarity is kind. Clarity is not mean. Being clear is being kind. So what she means by this is clearly explaining your feedback and stating clearly what you think, what you see, what you're looking for from staff, why you may be disappointed in what they've produced, or why you're really happy with the results. That really helps people understand where they did well, where they missed the mark, and where they can improve. And ultimately, what this is going to do is give people the confidence to really understand how they're performing, whether that's good or not so good. And that kind of clarity really is a gift. So clarity is kindness. So the third thing that stood out for me was that, again, along the theme of clarity, is that your ideas are clear to you, but they are not clear to anyone else. And this can be in the workplace, this can be with your kids, this can be with your partner or your friends and family. So in the workplace, as the leader, the manager, the boss, it's your responsibility to make sure that you are understood and that you are clear. And if you have the idea, it's not the fault of the listener if they don't understand. So what you might think is a brilliant insight or really great idea or direction for your team, it will only become a source of frustration or resentment unless you distill it to its essence and really make yourself clearly understood. So ultimately, take the time and make the effort to really drill down into the essence of your idea or the essence of your message and ensure that you're clearly understood. So that was a good reminder for me. So the fourth thing, in addition to being clear and being kind, is to be humble when delivering criticism. And really, you need to remind yourself and directly to tell your team that you don't have all the answers. And you need to recognize as well that you may be wrong, in fact. But approaching it and telling someone what you think in an open, honest manner, leaving ego aside, really allows them the opportunity to respond and explain their side of it. So as an example from the book, her advice, Kim Scott's advice, was when you're discussing what you perceive as a problem with a team member, is to start by stating your intentions. Start by stating, that your intention is to be helpful. And this can really signal to the employee or your team member that you're coming at it from a good place, that you're putting the ego aside, and it will really help people kind of open up and be more receptive to what you're about to say. So, for example, you could open a conversation like that with a preamble that would be something like, I'm going to describe a problem I see, and if I'm wrong, I hope you'll tell me that I'm wrong. But if I'm not wrong, I hope that my bringing it up to you will help you fix it. And I'm here to help, and I'm here to support that. So I just, again, found that as a really helpful reminder and some really good tips on how to approach what can sometimes be difficult conversations, and to also just to signal again that you're there to be helpful. You're there to drive towards what the best answer is in the for the project or the work that you're doing. And again, you're there to support your team member to help move the idea or the problem and get it fixed. So of course, the last thing, the fifth one that really stood out for me, of course, is to listen. And that's a huge part, obviously, of good leadership, is listening. So in Radical Kindness, author Kim Scott describes listening in two different listening styles. So one, and these were new to me, one was called quiet listening. And this is when you learn to stay silent and to allow others to talk. And so being successful in this requires that you have to get comfortable with your own silence. But being silent, particularly during a one-on-one, like if you're one-on-one meeting with a team member, say, for example, is about an hour long, her advice was to leave at least 10 minutes of that where you're silent. And this will allow your team member to really open up, to really dig into their own thoughts and describe issues or ideas much more deeply. So that was quiet listening. The second listening style she described is loud listening. And again, you have to adapt the style to your own personality, and of course to the personality of the person that you're working with. But loud listening is when you say things deliberately to get a reaction from people. And the way you're saying it demands a response. It's not argumentative, it's not angry, but it's just very direct. So success with this style really requires that people trust that you have established that relationship and you have that openness and that respect, that the conversation is truly going to be focused on getting to the right answer without ego. And you also need to know that the person on the receiving end of that loud listening, that you've worked with them and you know that they can kind of handle that. So again, the trick with the loud or the quiet listening, they both can be very effective, but you do need to understand who's on the receiving end of that, and what style works for you so you're comfortable with it, but also adjusting your style to what works for your employee or your volunteer. So those were 5 things that really stood out. The book is obviously much longer than that, but clarity, caring, listening, kindness, that essentially is kind of sums up the essence of radical candor. So this book really is kind of part storytelling, um, very informational, and she shares a lot of things that she has that's driven her in her career, and lessons she's learned through her career. But the really cool thing about this book too is it's also part resource guide. So the second half of the book, or maybe about a third of the book, um, is a myriad of tips and tricks, practical real world advice, templates, things that you could really refer to, that you could take into your own practice and help you, as you prepare to have maybe challenging conversations with some members of your team. So it's, for me, I found it a very effective approach to leadership. But again, having that kind of resource centered type section on it as well, I found it's very practical, and something that you can kind of pick up again and again and refer to if as needed. So those are the reasons, and of course, there's many more that you would find if you want to pick up this book. Again, it's Radical Candor: Be a Kick-Ass Boss Without Losing Your Humanity. So I very much encourage you to contact Wordsworth Books, order Radical Candor, read it, absorb it, keep it on your shelf, read it again, as I said, when you need. And please let me know what you think. Those were my key ahas, but I'd love to know what resonated with you, and what you learned from it, and how it's maybe impacted either your relationship with your team, or relationship with volunteers. So would be really interested in hearing other people's thoughts on the book. So again, thank you, Diane. Thank you, Bethan. Thank you to everyone involved with Waterloo, or with Leadership Waterloo Region, for the opportunity to share this book and to share these ideas with you. I really enjoyed the other videos and recommendations that people have made. So thank you for those. So yeah, thank you. Stay safe, everyone. Stay well, stay connected, Waterloo Region. And thank you again for the opportunity.